Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is my fourth video in a series about my experience with being Baker acted in November of 2020. In my previous videos, I have talked about what got me into this situation, the text message, what happened in the confusion of that text message, and upcoming is going to be where I was taken by law enforcement, why I could not be taken in there, and what happened to me after that, and where I was taken. That is where I'm going to go with this video. And the two deputies had come back to my house. One was a deputy from the first visit, and another one was his supervisor, he told me, an older deputy. And it was more in the evening, and I was very concerned about what was happening. I was like, am I under arrest? What did I actually do? And what does this have to do with my weapon? My weapon is a legal firearm. It wasn't used. It's in a case, unloaded. And they didn't really seem to ask me too much about the weapon itself. So they talked to me a little bit, and one deputy, younger guy, said, my sergeant here read our report from earlier in the day, and he wasn't satisfied with the details of it, so he wanted to come out here and talk to you personally. So I'm standing on the front porch. They haven't read me my rights. They haven't talked to me about much or really anything. So the older deputy, the sergeant, he said to me, have you ever been Baker acted? And I had known a little bit about that because in the previous video I talked about with my mom being Baker acted with her Alzheimer's and dementia. So I knew a little bit about what it was, but I didn't know the rules, laws, and what was going to happen. So the deputy looked at me, and I was completely normal, standing there at my door, and he said, well, we're going to Baker act you. And I thought I was going to faint. I couldn't believe what he was saying. I had to sit down. I told him, I said, I have to sit down for a minute. And he said, okay. And I was just standing there in my flip-flops, shorts, and a t-shirt. And so I said, well, what's going to happen? He said, well, we're going to take you to a facility for an evaluation. And I said, well, what is the facility? And he told me the name of it. I'll include it in the description below. You can see what it is. It's called PEMS. It's an acronym. I forget what it stands for. So I said, okay. And I said, well, can I get my phone and my wallet and my keys? And the younger deputy said, yeah, I'll get them for you. Where are they? In your house. I said, okay, they're on the nightstand. Okay, so he goes in and gets them. And the older sergeant says, you know, could you please turn around and face the wall? You don't have any weapons, any knives, any guns? I said, no, don't. And so he patted me down, which was embarrassing. I'm not sure if my neighbors were around, but that would have been a nice treat. So he says, we're going to transport you. The younger deputy is going to take you. And the younger deputy was nice, and he said, I'm not going to handcuff you because you haven't been resistant and you've been compliant, which of course I was. And so in I go in the back of the squad car, and it's dark and it's nighttime out, and we're driving, and I have no idea where we're going. I have no idea. I'm not talking to him. We're not interacting with each other. I'm just being quiet. I'm sort of just in a state of stun. So we're driving and driving and driving. It seems like we're driving forever, and I don't know where we're going. But I remember passing the St. Pete Clearwater Airport. So after about half an hour of driving or so, it seemed like we got to where this facility was. And a big gate opened up, and we drove in, and he pulled in backwards into a spot. And I could see the facility in front of me. It was a huge, big window, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a jail. I thought I was at Pinellas County Jail. And so I notice in the window there's a woman, totally naked, and she is pounding on the glass inside this entryway. I'm not going to say lobby because there was no hotel. And so the deputy's on his radio and basically is talking to the inside people, and I hear him say, "Okay, we'll wait until you get control of the entryway." So we're just sitting there, and I'm like, well, "What's going on?" And so he opens the door, gets me out. Again, I'm not being handcuffed. I'm not being manhandled. I'm not being done anything. And that's the thing about Baker Act, is that you have to know, or should know, what your rights are, if you have any, actually. And if you decide to not talk or resist arrest without violence or anything like that, what can happen to you? So we walk up to the place, we walk in, and it's COVID. You know, this is November of 2020. So everybody's masked up. They all, they've got gloves on and everything. So he takes me over to this chair, and I sit down in this chair, and there's a bunch of women or people behind glass, almost like a bank. And this woman comes out, and she's not a nurse. She doesn't have scrubs on. I don't know. This is my introduction into what this type of facility is like, or for anybody, for that matter. And I don't really see a lot of people, like patients in there. I'm in sort of like a entryway where there's doors that are locked that obviously lead to rooms and whatever is going on in there. But it was no fun. And so the nurse, she decides, or she tells me she's going to take my vitals. And so I said, okay. So she takes my temperature, and then she takes my blood pressure. And my blood pressure is really high because obviously I'm freaking out about what's happening to me. And she acts like, something is crazy about it. And I wasn't acting crazy, but inside I was, incredibly nervous and anxious. It was, what's happening to you? It's not like they tell you anything. So she says to the deputy, we can't take him here. We can't treat him here because we don't have the facility of equipment or whatever to deal with somebody with high blood pressure. So the deputy says, okay, we'll transport him. And I'm thinking, now where are they going to take me? Are they going to take me to jail? It's like a weird limbo of where you are in the legal system. And so the deputy says, we're going to have to call an ambulance. And I'm like, really? You're going to transport me in an ambulance? Now, granted, remember, this is all based on one text message. One. Not a thread, not a bunch. One misconstrued, out of context text message. So I'm sitting there, not believing what's happening to me. I don't have my phone. I don't think I can call my attorney. If I was being arrested, I could have my attorney come or talk to the police officers. That doesn't happen. So the ambulance comes, the EMTs come in with the freaking stretcher. I hop up on the stretcher. They put me in the ambulance, and the EMT in the back was a very nice guy, and he said, what's happening? I said, I'm just really anxious. I'm really nervous about this. I've been Baker acted. I don't know what the hell's going on. And of course, my blood pressure's high. He goes, okay, I understand that. I understand. So I think he might have ran an IV on me or something. I don't remember. But he said to me, do you have a preference on what hospital you would like to go to? Well, this is the only time that anybody asked me anything other than you're going to go be Baker acted. And so I'm not going to name the hospital, but one of my friends works in that hospital, and I told them that's the hospital that I want to go to. And ironically, that particular hospital, not every hospital can take in people who have psychiatric issues. This particular hospital has a psychiatric floor. And so away I go in the effing ambulance. Thank God the lights weren't going and the siren wasn't going because it was an emergency. So we're driving, and I'm just in the ambulance going, what in the hell is happening to me? You know, an hour ago I was sitting at home watching TV, getting ready to go to bed. Now I'm in an ambulance going to a hospital with a cop. Well, the cop wasn't there, it was just the ambulance. So I get to the hospital, and I don't know exactly where they were taking me. They did not take me to the regular emergency room. They have a whole nother entrance for people that are being taken into a psychiatric evaluation, if you will. And it's different than the regular ER. There's not chairs, but there's almost like lazy boy chairs in there. And I see people sitting in them, sleeping in them. They're not rooms, it's just one big room with like a nurse's station. And I have no idea what they're gonna do to me. And I don't have my phone. I don't have any contact with anybody. So they start to treat me for high blood pressure with, I don't know, it was an IV drip or something or other. Maybe it was, I don't recall. At that point I was kind of just trying to figure out what was going on. So I fell asleep in that room, and then I woke up and they said, okay, we're gonna put you into a room in the wheelchair, so get in the wheelchair. I'm still in my regular clothes. I haven't gotten a gown or anything like that. So they wheel me up to the 4th floor, and that is called, it's kind of an in-between floor between a hospital room and a psychiatric ward. It's in between, and it's called, I think it's called the flex floor. And it might be for people who aren't violent or aren't showing signs of any really overly psychotic behavior like me. I was just being normal. And so that room was like a hospital room, except that it didn't have bathroom, and it had a sliding door, a big glass sliding door. And it had a TV, and then there was a nurse's station, and there was a curtain. And I realized that something was odd here. If I had to go to the bathroom, I had to do it in that room. There was no getting up and going to a bathroom. So I had a regular hospital bed. It was fine. It was about 9 or 10 o'clock at night or so, and I fell asleep, and I woke up a couple hours later, and I noticed that there was a woman in scrubs sitting in a chair that I could see outside of my room. Through the glass I could see. And there was no locks on the doors, there were no guards, there were no, it was just like really basically a hospital room. And so I fell asleep again, and I woke up again maybe a few hours later, and I noticed this woman was still sitting there outside the room. And so in my next video, I'm going to explain how that room and what that woman was doing there, and what happened when the doctor came in, the doctor who is the psychiatrist for that particular floor the next morning. And I'm going to explain in my next video what happened that day and the next couple days as it unfortunately kept on going. I'm also going to shoot a podcast, record a podcast with my attorney, Bruce Denson. And we're going to discuss what happens and what your rights are when you're Baker acted, and what you can do, what you can say, what you can't say, and if you have a firearm involved in that process, what law enforcement can do and what they did to me, because I did have a weapon, although I didn't use it. In that text message, it was implied that I could use it to hurt myself. And so I'm going to talk about that with Bruce, and I'm going to record the podcast. It's his podcast, but I'm going to record it so I can post it for you guys, and it's very informative. It will be what your rights are and what you can and cannot do. So I appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned for the next one. If you like this video, subscribe to it, and peace out.